For most people, going to court is a frightening experience, even when the entire proceedings are in the language you know. Think how much more frightening it would be to go to court when you do not speak the language that everyone else is speaking.
¿Es esto una situación que corresponde para arrestar a alguien?
Gracias, señor García. Estoy de acuerdo con el señor Rodríguez. Bueno, por lo menos lo que está diciendo el señor Rodríguez, de que la detención Terry.
Who's Terry that he's talking about?
I think it's a police officer. Don't worry. Was say that there was the suspect of activity. Oh, now the question, Mr. Garcia, like, no. The argument was reason.
Now, what's he saying?
It's just technical legal stuff. Please don't interrupt.
Eran iguales a otros que él ha visto con drogas en muchas otras ocasiones.
Bien, después de considerar ambos alegatos, tendría que llegar a la conclusión de que se puede
the conclusion that, well, all right.
In the previous scene, the defendant's most basic ability to understand the proceedings and prove herself innocent was in the hands of the interpreter. As a certified interpreter, I've observed court proceedings involving interpreters numerous times. And I can tell you, there are still far too many untrained, uncertified, and unqualified interpreters performing in the courts. In a lot of these cases, if the judge could understand the purported interpreter's Spanish or Vietnamese or Russian or whatever other language, the interpreter would probably be dismissed immediately. But most judges cannot personally evaluate foreign language skills. This video will illustrate proven methods for working with interpreters. The following courtroom scenes show first less effective and then more effective procedures for selecting interpreters and monitoring their performances.
In cases involving non-English speaking parties, initial appointment matters should be handled carefully to assure the proceedings are fair. The next scene shows an inappropriate way of determining the need for an interpreter.
Ms. Mendoza, you are here today because the prosecutor has charged you with the crime of misdemeanor theft. Do you understand the rights that were read to you earlier today?
Yes.
How do you then plead, guilty or not guilty?
Yes.
That question does not require a yes or no answer. I need to know from you whether you plead guilty or not guilty.
Okay, I didn't do that.
We'll take that as a not guilty plea. Ms. Mendoza, how long have you been here in the United States?
5 years ago.
Okay, you've lived in the United States for 5 years. That's a long time, and you appear to speak English well. Therefore, I'm finding that you do not need an interpreter.
Even if a defendant speaks some English, an interpreter should be appointed unless the defendant's vocabulary and fluency are sufficient for the defendant to aid in her own defense. In the next scene, the judge appropriately handles initial interpreter appointment issues.
Ms. Mendoza, you are here today because the prosecutors charged you with the crime of misdemeanor theft. Did you understand the rights that were read to you earlier today?
Yes.
How do you plead?
Yes.
Ms. Mendoza, do you understand me?
Yes.
Ms. Mendoza, how long have you lived in the United States?
I came here 5 years.
Have you studied English?
Yes, I studied for as long as I...
Ms. Mendoza, I think it would be in your best interest that I appoint an interpreter for you on this particular case. Without an interpreter, you may not understand everything that goes on here in court. So after having reviewed your situation, the court will appoint a qualified neutral interpreter.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I interpret for social services hearings. I have lived here all my life, and I know Mrs. Mendoza a little bit from our children's school. I can interpret for her.
Thank you for your offer, but law and fairness require that an impartial interpreter be appointed. Since you are acquainted with one of the parties, that is not possible. Therefore, I cannot have you interpret in this case. Thank you.
Your Honor, I interpret in the jail all the time. I've never seen the defendant,
I am assigned to this courtroom, so if I can save the court some time and money.
Officer, we appreciate your offer. However, that wouldn't be fair, nor would it look fair to have that. Since we don't have a certified or qualified interpreter in this particular case, I'm going to have to continue this matter until March 14. This court will be adjourned until March 14th at 9 o'clock in the morning.
In the next scene, confusion results when the attorney phrases questions in the third person. And watch what happens to the interpreter when two people speak at once.
Ask her if her sister works at the factory too.
¿Y su hermana, ella trabaja en la fábrica también?
Sí.
Yes.
Ask her if she was there the week of November 5th, 1993.
Pregúntele a ella si ella está también en la fábrica la semana del 5 de noviembre de 1993.
¿Qué dice? No entiendo.
What are you saying? I don't understand.
Well, isn't it true that she was working on sewing sleeping bags on October 5th, 1993?
¿Es cierto que usted estaba cosiendo sacos de dormir la semana del 5 de noviembre de 1993?
Sí.
Yes.
And weren't you working on the new pile sleeping bags in October of 93?
¿Y qué no está usted trabajando con los nuevos sacos de dormir en octubre de 1993?
No, yo empecé en noviembre.
No, I didn't start until November.
But you just told us you were working there in October.
Your Honor, Pero usted acaba de decirnos que está trabajando ahí en
Specifically asked for
octubre.
this on two separate
Están
occasions.
una objeción, yo no sé qué están hablando, pero no se preocupen, todo está bien, son cuestiones legales que están alegando, pero no les puedo interpretar porque son dos a la vez, no puedo, no se preocupen, yo creo que sale bien.
By timely intervention in the next scene, the judge prevents confusion. Also, watch the interpreter's proper handling of a misinterpretation.
Now ask her, isn't it true that she told the police she was working at the factory the week of November 5th?
Ahora pregúntele, ¿acaso no es cierto que ella le dijo a la policía que estaba trabajando en la fábrica?
Just a minute, if I might interject. I'm going to ask counsel to speak directly to the witness as though there was not an interpreter in this case. Please do not use the third person. It confuses the witness. So please ask the question in the form, isn't it true that, rather than ask her. Additionally, I'll ask that you slow down a little bit, please, and please restate the question.
Now, isn't it true that you told the police you were working in the factory the week of November 5th?
Ahora, ¿acaso no es cierto que usted le dijo a la policía que estaba trabajando en la fábrica la semana del 5 de noviembre?
No.
No.
And does your sister work at the factory also?
Bien. ¿Y su hermana también trabaja en la fábrica?
Sí.
Yes.
Were you there during the week of November 5th?
¿Estaba usted allí durante la semana del 5 de noviembre?
Sí.
Yes.
And isn't it true you were sewing sleeping bags during the week of October?
¿Y acaso no es cierto que usted estaba cosiendo sacos de dormir durante la semana del 5 de noviembre?
Sí.
Yes.
Now, weren't you working on the new pile sleeping bags the week of October 5th?
Ahora, ¿acaso no estaba usted trabajando con su señoría?
Counsel, please. The interpreter cannot interpret when both of you are speaking at the same time. Mr. Tsuchida? Overruled. Please proceed.
Adelante. Your Honor, the interpreter would like to make a correction for the record. She misinterpreted the word October as November.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask that you please not interject what you think was meant by the question. Add, change, or delete nothing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Adelante.
Ms. Mendoza, isn't it true that you were working on the sleeping bags during the week of October 5th?
Señorita Mendoza, ¿acaso no es cierto que usted estaba trabajando con los sacos de dormir durante la semana del 5 de octubre?
No, yo empecé a trabajar en noviembre.
No, I began working in November.
The most important step in assuring adequate interpreting is the appointment of a certified or qualified interpreter. Certified court interpreters have proven their interpreting skills before expert bilingual examiners. When no certified interpreter is available, a qualified interpreter should be appointed. The next scene shows a less effective way to appoint an interpreter.
Will Ms. Wong please come forward? Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you speak Cantonese?
Yes.
Have you ever interpreted in court before?
Yes, twice before.
I'll appoint you as the interpreter in this case.
Just because someone asserts they are an interpreter or have previously interpreted in court does not mean they can do the job adequately. Qualifications should be established by asking foundational questions before the interpreter is appointed.
Good morning, Ms. Wong. What is your native language?
Cantonese.
How did you learn both Cantonese and English?
I learned them both at home. My parents are bilingual, and my grandparents speak Cantonese.
Have you had any formal training in either language?
Yes, I have.
What was that training?
I took Cantonese classes in middle school, high school, and in college. And I have an AA degree in accounting from South Sound Community College. And I also took some writing classes.
Where have you interpreted and what kinds of cases?
I've interpreted some misdemeanor arraignments in a municipal court, and some drunk driving cases, and a couple of administrative hearings.
The case that we have is a civil case involving personal injuries from an auto accident. How would you become familiar with terms like medical terms or accident reconstruction terms?
I've brought my bilingual dictionary with me, and I'm going to ask the plaintiff's attorney to provide some relevant materials so I can look up the vocabulary.
Have you received any special training in court interpreting?
Yes, I've taken a couple of the workshops sponsored by the Administrator's Office in the last year.
Are you familiar with the ethics code for interpreters?
Yes, I am.
Could you briefly describe the main points to me in the ethics code?
Interpreters do not give legal advice. They cannot serve in a proceeding when there's a conflict of interest, and they must interpret all materials.
In this case, I don't know if you've had an opportunity yet to meet with Mr. Chow, the plaintiff. Have you?
No, I haven't.
I would need to know if you're able to communicate with him.
Yes, I would like to have a few moments to speak to Mr. Chow and to find out where he's from and so forth.
I will give you that opportunity, and if you have any communication difficulties, please let me know.
I will,
Do you know if you have any conflict of interest in this case?
I don't believe there's any conflict of interest.
Thank you. The court is persuaded that Ms. Wong is a qualified interpreter and should be appointed as the interpreter in these proceedings. The court finds that Ms. Wong has the necessary experience, training, and ability to be the interpreter for these proceedings. Ms. Wong, please raise your right hand. I will administer the oath of interpreter to you. Do you swear or affirm that you will faithfully interpret all matters in these proceedings from English into Cantonese and Cantonese into English to the best of your ability?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The judge should be attentive to the interpreting process during the proceeding to prevent ethics violations. Interpreters are frequently pressured by attorneys or parties to inappropriately intervene in the attorney-client relationship, as illustrated in the next scene.
Sir, would you please give us your full name?
My name's John Allen Campbell.
And Mr. Campbell, are you a professional videographer?
Yes, sir. I've been a professional videographer for over 10 years now.
Now, Mr. Campbell, when you reviewed the footage used in the television newscast, did you feel it accurately portrayed a true picture of Mr. Chow's accident?
No, sir, I don't.
Why?
Well, the reason being is that the footage was edited and also digitally enhanced.
What do you mean by that, digitally enhanced?
Well, digitally enhanced can be a combination of things. With this video, they slow-mo the video, which gives a different visual impact to the viewer. They also digitally enhanced some of the audio and added sounds that didn't exist at the accident scene. Other than that, they also affected the video image by increasing the chroma and hue value of the video.
What do you mean by the terms chroma and hue?
Well, chroma and hue, I guess in layman's term, is the color of the video. Color saturation. We can change surfaces. I can change a surface that's red and make it look green.
Can you make this tie look green?
Counsel, I see it's time for our luncheon recess. We will reconvene at 1:30.
All rise.
Now tell me straight up, do you think my client is lying?
Oh, I think maybe, but I'm not sure.
Well, I have to interview a new witness during the break, so will you explain this document to Mr. Chow while I'm gone? Okay, thanks.
In the next scene, the judge actively supervises the court interpretation. The interpreter here properly handles the attorney's pressure to violate the ethics code.
Mr. Campbell, When you reviewed the footage used in the television newscast, did you feel it accurately portrayed the accident in which Mr. Chow was in?
No, sir, I don't.
Why don't you think so, sir?
Well, the reason being is that the video footage was edited and also digitally enhanced.
What does that mean, digitally enhanced?
Well, digitally enhanced...
Excuse me, counsel, I need to interrupt for a moment. It appears to me that the interpreter is not interpreting everything. Is there a problem?
No, Your Honor, it's just Mr. Chow doesn't understand it anyway.
Well, the plaintiff has the right to have everything interpreted in court, including all the questions posed by counsel, the answers given by the witness, and in fact, what I am saying now is, well, to you, the plaintiff has the right to hear all of that. I direct you to interpret everything that is being said in court.
Yes, I will, Your Honor.
Thank you.
法官依家叫我翻譯所有嘢俾你聽，全個法庭裏邊每人講嘅話都要翻譯俾你聽，咩頭先我譯得唔準確，得唔夠清楚。
Thank you. Counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Campbell, let's back up a bit. Why don't you explain once again what digitally enhanced means?
Well, basically, digitally enhanced is a combination of things. With this video, they used a digital process to slow-mo the video, and they also changed the chroma and hue value of the video.
I use those terms chroma and hue. What do those mean?
Well, those affect the color value of the video, what colors look like. I can change reds to become greens, blues to become yellows, and in that way I can change a surface such as water to look as if it's water.
Could you give us an example of how this could be used, say, in a home video?
Excuse me, counsel. I need to interrupt. It appears to me that the interpreter is not interpreting, but is carrying on a conversation with the plaintiff. Is there a problem?
It's just Mr. Chow wants to know whether the testimony is good for his case or not.
If he wishes to ask questions or get advice, he needs to do that through his attorney. The interpreter is not to be answering questions or giving advice. Please interpret what is happening in the trial between witness and counsel.
Okay, Your Honor.
Thank you. I think considering the time, this would be a good time to take a luncheon recess. We'll be reconvening at 1:30. All rise.
Tell me straight up, do you think my client is lying?
Well, it's improper for me to give any opinion one way or another.
Well, I have to interview a new witness during the break, so would you explain this to Mr. Chow while I'm gone?
It's unethical for me to explain anything to your client. I'm more than happy to interpret for you, if you like.
You're right, of course. I'm sorry to put you in that position.
That's okay.
During testimony, judges and attorneys should observe whether the interpreter appears to be interpreting everything. Watch the contrast between the witness's words and the interpreter's words in the next scene.
Would you describe your injuries?
請你描寫一下你嘅受傷嘅過程。
我個頭又痛啦，個頸又痛啦，咁咧膊頭又痛，咁咧擰個頭嗰陣時咧又係好痛嘅，咁同埋咧耷低頭向下面望嗰陣時，好似咁咧，咁又係好痛嘅，咁夜晚仲慘啊，輾轉反側。
My head hurts, and I can't sleep at night.
And how have those injuries affected your financial future?
佢今次受傷對你將來嘅財經有咩影響啊？
唉，嗰個契弟累得我一鑊泡啊！你知我老闆啊，鐵沙梨嚟噶嘛？佢話我蛇王喎，咁人哋痛啊嘛，點做啫？個傻佬係炒咗我魷啊，叫我翻屋企。
My boss fired me. He didn't think I was good anymore.
Thank you.
多謝。
An articulate, descriptive witness conveys a different impression to the finder of fact than a hesitant, subdued witness. An interpreter must adhere to the witness's exact testimony to allow the judge or jury to accurately evaluate the witness. Also, watch the interpreter properly handle an unfamiliar word in this scene.
Would you describe your injuries?
你可唔可以描述一下你嘅受傷嘅過程啊？
好啊。我個頭又痛啦，頸又痛啦，膊頭又痛啦，咁啊個頭擰咧又痛嘅， 同埋向下邊望啦，好似咁嗰陣時咧，又好痛㗎。夜晚仲慘，喺床上面輾轉反側。
My head hurts, my neck hurts, my shoulders hurt. When I turn my head, it hurts. And when I look down like this, especially, it hurts a lot. And at night is worse. I tossed around, I couldn't sleep.
And how have these injuries affected your financial future?
喂，咁你今次受傷對你將來嘅財經上有咩影響啊？
唉，嗰個契弟累得我一鑊泡啊！你知我老闆啦，鐵沙里嚟噶嘛，佢話我蛇王喎，咁人哋痛啊嘛，點做啫？咁啊傻佬就炒我魷，叫我翻屋企。
Your Honor, the witnesses used some slang that the interpreter is not familiar with. May the interpreter take a moment to clarify that?
Yes, the interpreter may inquire of the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. 你話炒魷啊？炒魷係咩意思啊？
佢開除咗我。
哦，炒魷係開除。好唔該。Oh, that bastard! He caused me so much trouble. You know, my boss, he said that I'm a lazy, good-for-nothing bum. And how can I work? I hurt so badly. And then that idiot just canned me.
Thank you.
多謝你。
It's at this point, Your Honor, that while the state may be able to argue that the initial intrusion was valid, we feel there's
Litigants who don't speak English have to trust interpreters to convey their communications accurately. A determinative aspect of these cases is the judge's selection of the interpreter and active supervision of the interpreting process. Only through high-quality interpreting is the non-English speaking party able to participate in the trial, consult with counsel, and confront and cross-examine witnesses. Likewise, only through exact interpreting can the judge be satisfied that a non-English speaking witness's interpreted testimony is stated accurately. By actively supervising the entire interpreting process, the judge can prevent many interpreting misconceptions or mistakes, thus furthering equal justice for all.
그 증거가 능력이 있다고 결정을 내리고 그렇게 변론을 합니다.